My name is Robert Bobby Chen. I'm 68 years old, retired now, living in a small apartment in Flagstaff, Arizona. For 35 years, I worked as a mining engineer across the Southwest. Copper, silver, some gold. I've seen things underground that most people never will. Strange formations, pockets of gas that glow in the dark, cave systems that seem to go on forever. But there's one thing I never told anyone about. Not my wife, not my kids, not the company I worked for, and definitely not the people who came asking questions after Jack disappeared. It was October 1997. The Sonoran Desert, about 140 miles southwest of Tucson, near a ghost town called Ajo. We were doing exploratory drilling for a copper deposit, routine work, or it should have been. Jack Morrison found something down there, something that shouldn't exist, and 3 days later, he was gone. I'm the only person left who knows what really happened, and after 27 years of silence, I think it's time someone heard this story. October 1997. The Sonoran Desert in that season is actually beautiful if you can appreciate emptiness. The heat breaks just enough that you can work without feeling like your skin's melting off. Temperatures in the low 80s during the day, dropping to the 50s at night. We were based out of a temporary camp near Ajo, an old copper mining town that had been mostly abandoned since the mine closed in '85. Population maybe 3,000, mostly retirees and people who couldn't afford to leave. The landscape out there is all saguaro cacti, creosote bushes, and red-brown rock that seems to go on forever. Our crew was small, just 5 of us. Jack Morrison was the senior geologist. He'd been doing this since the '70s. Vietnam vet, quiet guy, the kind of person who could read rock formations like other people read newspapers. Always wore the same faded denim shirt, work boots so worn down the steel toes were showing through. Then there was Maria Gonzalez, our equipment operator, tough as nails. Grew up in Douglas, right on the Mexican border. Could fix anything mechanical with duct tape and swearing. She had this habit of humming old corridos while she worked. Tommy Reeves was our youngest, 24, fresh out of the Colorado School of Mines, eager to prove himself. Kid wore safety gear like his life depended on it, which, to be fair, it did. Always taking notes, always asking questions. And Sarah Kim, our surveyor. Precise, methodical, Korean-American, second generation. She'd map out sites with an accuracy that was almost unsettling. Never off by more than a few centimeters. Me, I was the team lead, 41 years old then. My job was to coordinate, make sure we stayed on schedule and under budget, keep everyone alive. Simple goals. We'd been on site for 3 weeks. The work was straightforward. Core sampling at various depths to determine if there was enough copper to justify a full-scale mining operation. Standard procedure. Drill down 200, 300, sometimes 500 feet, extract core samples, analyze the mineral content, move to the next location. Every morning started the same way. Up at 5:30 a.m., coffee so strong it could strip paint. Maria would get the drill rig running while Sarah checked the day's coordinates. Tommy would prep the core sample storage. Jack and I would review the geological surveys from the previous day. The sound of the desert in the early morning, it's something else. Complete silence except for the occasional coyote in the distance. Then, as the sun comes up, everything wakes at once. Birds, insects, the creaking of metal as it expands in the heat. Our camp was basic. 4 trailers for sleeping, 1 for equipment storage, 1 converted into a makeshift lab and office. Generator running 24/7. Satellite phone for emergencies. Cell coverage out there was non-existent. Jack had a routine. Every evening after dinner, he'd walk out about 100 yards from camp. Just stand there looking at the stars. Didn't matter how tired he was. When I asked him about it once, he said, "Out here, you can see what the sky really looks like. No light pollution, no interference, just truth." I remember thinking that was a strange way to put it. Truth. We were happy. Not in any profound way. Just the simple contentment of good work, good people, clear purpose. Tommy was excited about everything. Maria kept us laughing with stories about her kids. Sarah was planning a trip to Seoul to visit family. Jack talked about retiring in 2 years, maybe buying a small place in Montana. Normal. Everything was completely, perfectly normal. October 14th, 1997. That's when things started feeling off. We were drilling at Site 7B, coordinates 32 degree 2215 N, 112 degree 5142 2W. Nothing special about the location, just another grid point on Sarah's survey map. The geology looked standard for the area. Sedimentary rock layers, some volcanic intrusions, typical Sonoran desert subsurface. The drill was going down smooth. We'd reached about 380 feet when Maria noticed something. "Hey, Bobby," she called out over the noise of the rig. "You hearing that?" I walked over. "Hearing what?" "Listen." I did. At first, just the normal grinding of the drill bit cutting through rock. But then, there was something else. A resonance. Like the drill was hitting a hollow space, but deeper, more sustained. Jack came over, pressed his ear close to the drill housing. His face changed. "Shut it down," he said. "What?" "Shut it down, now." Maria killed the engine. In the sudden silence, we could all hear it. A low hum, almost subsonic, vibrating up through the drill shaft. "Could be a cavity," Sarah suggested. "Underground chamber, maybe an old lava tube." "At 380 feet? Jack shook his head. "Wrong depth for lava tubes in this formation." Tommy was already checking the readouts. "Drill temperature's normal, no gas signatures. Pressures." "Actually, that's weird." "What's weird?" I asked. "Pressure readings fluctuating, up and down like a pulse, every 3.7 seconds. We all looked at each other. "Equipment malfunction?" Maria suggested, but she didn't sound convinced. Jack was quiet, staring at the drill shaft like he could see through it. Finally, he said, "We need to pull a core sample, see what we're dealing with." It took us 40 minutes to extract the drill bit and attach the core sampler. The whole time I kept noticing small things. Birds had stopped singing. The usual desert sounds, insects, the wind through the creosote, had gone quiet. The temperature felt wrong too. Not hot or cold exactly, just off. Like the air had a different weight to it. Tommy mentioned it first. "Anyone else's ears popping? Like we're changing altitude?" We were all feeling it. That pressure shift you get in an airplane, except we were standing on flat ground. When we started drilling again, the hum came back, louder this time. Sarah was monitoring the depth gauge. 390 feet, 400, 410. "Stop," Jack said suddenly. "We're not at the target depth yet." I said stop. There was something in his voice I'd never heard before. Not fear exactly, more like reverence, dread. I still don't have the right word for it. Maria stopped the drill at 427 feet. Jack walked over to the equipment trailer, came back with a handheld magnetometer, a device that measures magnetic fields. He held it near the drill shaft. The needle went crazy, spinning, jerking, completely erratic. "That's not right," Sarah whispered. "That's not possible." "What's down there?" Tommy asked. Jack didn't answer. He was already suiting up to extract the core sample manually. Full safety gear, respirator, gloves, the works. Like he expected to find something dangerous. We brought up the core sample just as the sun was setting. The timing felt wrong, though I can't explain why. Like we should have waited for daylight. The rock sample looked normal at first. Sandstone, some copper ore veining, exactly what we expected. But at the very end of the core, the deepest part, there was something else. A perfect circle, about 3 inches in diameter, carved into the rock. Or not carved, more like pressed. Like something round had been embedded there and we drilled right next to it. "Is that metallic?" Tommy leaned in close. Jack pulled out a hand lens, examined it. His hands were shaking. In 8 years of working with him, I'd never seen Jack's hands shake. "We need to go back down," he said. "We need to see what this is." "Jack, it's almost dark. Tomorrow then, first thing." "But Bobby," he looked at me. "We don't tell the company about this yet. Not until we know what we're dealing with." "Why not?" "Because if this is what I think it is." He stopped, shook his head. "Let's just confirm first." That night, none of us slept well. I kept thinking about that hum, that pulse every 3.7 seconds. Kept wondering what could cause that. Around 2 a.m. I got up to use the bathroom. Walked past Jack's trailer. His light was still on. Through the window, I could see him sitting at the small desk, the core sample in front of him, just staring at it. The next morning, October 15th, Jack was already at the drill site when I got there. He'd been there since before sunrise, he said. Couldn't wait. "We go down to 430 feet, he told me. "Widen the bore. Extract whatever's creating that metallic signature." "Shouldn't we report this to Bobby?" He gripped my shoulder. "Trust me on this, please. One day, let me see what this is, then we'll report everything. I promise." I should have said no. Should have followed protocol, called the main office, let them decide. But Jack had never asked me for anything in 8 years, and there was something in his eyes. Desperation, curiosity so intense it looked like pain. I said yes. The drill reached 430 feet by 10:15 a.m. We'd widened the bore to 12 inches, large enough to potentially extract whatever was down there. The hum had gotten louder as we went deeper, and that pulse, every 3.7 seconds, like clockwork. Tommy was monitoring readings. Temperature spike, up 15 degrees in the last 2 minutes. Gas? No chemical signatures, just heat. And the magnetic field is, I don't even know how to describe this. It's like the magnetometer's having a seizure. Maria shut down the drill. In the silence, we could all hear it clearly now. That low, subsonic hum. It wasn't coming from our equipment. It was coming from below. Jack was already gearing up. Full protective suit, respirator, the works. I'm going to lower a camera first. We had a small inspection camera, the kind you'd use to check inside pipes or narrow shafts. Jack attached it to a cable, started lowering it down the borehole. At 400 feet, the monitor showed normal rock walls, sedimentary layers, some quartz veining, tool marks from our drill bit. At 420 feet, the rock changed color, darker, almost glassy. At 428 feet, the camera went through. Through what? Sarah asked. Through something. Jack adjusted the camera angle. There's a cavity, not natural. Look at the walls. On the monitor, we could see it. A chamber, maybe 6 feet across, perfectly spherical. The walls were smooth, not carved, not eroded. Smooth like they'd been molded, and they reflected the camera light in a way that rock shouldn't. In the center of the chamber, suspended somehow, not resting on anything, not hanging from anything, just there, was a sphere. It was about 2 feet in diameter, metallic but not like any metal I'd ever seen. The surface seemed to shift as the camera moved, like oil on water, showing different colors depending on the angle. Blues, purples, colors I don't have names for. And it was rotating. Slowly. One complete rotation every... I checked my watch. Every 3.7 seconds. Nobody said anything. We just stared at the monitor. Finally, Tommy spoke, his voice barely a whisper. What is that? Jack didn't answer. He was already attaching a retrieval basket to the cable. Jack, I said, maybe we should... I'm bringing it up. We don't know what it is. Could be dangerous, could be... Bobby. He looked at me. That sphere is older than this rock. Do you understand what that means? The sandstone around it is 180 million years old, Jurassic period. But that sphere, it's not corroded, not degraded, not weathered. It's pristine. How do you know it's older? Because it's inside the rock, completely enclosed. Not buried, enclosed. The rock formed around it, which means it was already there when this entire desert was at the bottom of an ancient sea. Sarah was shaking her head. That's not possible. I know. Then how? I don't know. Jack's voice cracked. But I'm going to find out. He lowered the retrieval basket. We watched on the monitor as it descended into that impossible chamber. The basket touched the sphere, and for a second, just a second, the hum stopped. Complete silence. Then it came back, but different, higher pitched, faster pulse. It knows, Tommy said. It knows we're here. It's an object, Tommy. Objects don't know anything. But even as I said it, I didn't believe it. Jack started pulling up the cable, hand over hand, slow and steady. The sphere rose through the borehole, spinning, pulsing light we couldn't quite see but could somehow feel. 380 feet, 350 feet, 300 feet. Maria was backing away from the drill site. Bobby, this doesn't feel right. Just hold on. 250 feet, 200 feet. The air around us was getting thick, like before a thunderstorm, but more so. The hairs on my arms were standing up. There was a taste in my mouth, metallic, sharp, like licking a battery. 150 feet, 100 feet. Almost there, Jack muttered. Almost 50 feet, 25 feet. I could see it now, at the top of the borehole, glinting in the morning sun. Still rotating, still pulsing. 10 feet, 5 feet. Jack reached down, grabbed the basket, pulled it up onto the surface. The sphere sat there, in the morning light of the Sonoran Desert, October 15, 1997, impossible and real. It was perfectly smooth. No seams, no markings, no imperfections. The surface seemed to be made of something between metal and liquid, reflecting light in ways that hurt to look at directly. And it was warm. Not hot, but warm. Like something alive. We all gathered around it. Nobody wanted to touch it, but nobody could look away either. Jack pulled out a Geiger counter. No radiation. He tried a spectrometer. The reading made no sense. Elements that shouldn't be together. Isotope ratios that defied physics. How old? Sarah asked. Jack looked at her. If I'm reading this right, at least 200 million years. Maybe older. Maybe much older. That's impossible. I know. Humans didn't exist 200 million years ago. I know. Nothing that could make something like this existed 200 million years ago. I know. Jack's voice echoed across the empty desert. Don't you think I know that? But it's here. It's real. And it's been sitting down there, in the dark, for longer than we can comprehend. Just waiting. Waiting for what? Tommy asked. Jack reached out his hand toward the sphere. I grabbed his arm. Don't. I need to understand it. Not by touching it. Not yet. We need to. But he'd already pulled free. His fingers brushed the surface of the sphere. The hum stopped. Everything stopped. I mean everything. The wind, the sound of our breathing. Even my heartbeat seemed to pause. Jack's eyes went wide. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. And then he smiled. Not a happy smile. A smile of recognition, of understanding something terrible and beautiful at the same time. Jack. He pulled his hand back. The world started again. Sound, wind, time. It showed me, he whispered. Showed you what? He looked at me, and his eyes, they were different. Like he'd seen something so far beyond normal human experience that his brain was still trying to process it. Everything, he said. It showed me everything. We moved the sphere into the equipment trailer. Jack insisted on it. Said it needed to be protected, studied, understood. For the rest of that day, October 15th, he barely left its side. He set up every piece of testing equipment we had. Magnetometers, spectrometers, thermal cameras, oscilloscopes. The trailer looked like a makeshift laboratory. Cables everywhere. Monitors showing readouts that none of us could fully interpret. The sphere continued its slow rotation. Every 3.7 seconds, like a heartbeat. Maria was the first to voice what we were all thinking. We need to call this in. Right now. This is beyond us. Not yet, Jack said, not looking up from his monitors. Jack, this is... I said not yet. He spun around, and I saw something in his face that scared me. Obsession. Pure, consuming obsession. 24 hours. That's all I need. One day to document this, to understand what we're dealing with. Then we'll call whoever you want. Pentagon, NASA, the whole damn alphabet soup of agencies. But give me one day. Why? I asked. What did you see when you touched it? He was quiet for a long moment. Finally, I saw a city, but not like any city that exists now. Towers that bent light. Structures that seemed to exist in more dimensions than three. And beings, not human, not anything we have a reference for. They were singing. No, that's not right. They were creating. Reality itself was their canvas. You're saying aliens built this? I'm saying we built this. What? Humanity. Or what we'll become. Or what we were before. Time doesn't work the way we think it does, Bobby. This sphere, it exists in a state where past, present, and future are happening simultaneously. When I touched it, I could see all of it at once. Sarah was backing toward the door. This is insane. You're talking like a crazy person. I know how it sounds, but I touched it. I felt it. And now I can't stop thinking about it. It's like knowing the answer to a question you didn't know you were asking. But now that you know, you can't unknow it. Tommy suggested we all take a break, get some food, maybe sleep. But Jack refused to leave the trailer. Said he needed to keep monitoring the sphere, needed to understand its patterns. We left him there. That night I couldn't sleep again. Around midnight, I saw Jack's trailer light still on. Through the small window, I could see him sitting there, just staring at the sphere. At 2 a.m., the sphere's pulse changed. Instead of every 3.7 seconds, it shifted to every 2.1 seconds. Faster, more urgent. Jack noticed immediately. I saw him lean forward, adjust his monitors, take notes frantically. At 3 a.m., I saw him reach out and touch it again. This time, he didn't pull back. His hand stayed there, palm flat against that impossible surface, for almost 5 minutes. When he finally moved away, he was crying. October 16th. Dawn came, but Jack didn't. When I checked on him at 6 a.m., he was still in the trailer, but he'd changed. His eyes had dark circles under them. He was pale, shaking slightly. But there was also something else, an intensity, an energy that seemed almost manic. I understand it now, he said before I could even say good morning. It's a beacon. No, not a beacon. A marker, a waypoint. Bobby, there are others. Other spheres. Other everything. Sites like this all over the world have been for millions of years, all connected, all part of a network we can't see because we're not looking with the right senses. Jack, you need to sleep. I can't sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see it. The pattern, the grand design. Do you know what this means? Everything we thought we knew about human history, about the age of the Earth, about consciousness itself, it's all wrong. We're not the first. We won't be the last. We're just one iteration in an infinite cycle. He was scaring me. This wasn't the calm, methodical Jack I'd known for 8 years. This was someone else, someone changed by whatever that sphere had shown him. We're calling it in, I said firmly. Today. Right now. No. Jack, if you call it in, they'll take it. Lock it away. Study it in some black site basement where nobody will ever see it again. This is too important for that. This is humanity's next step. Our evolution. Our ascension. Listen to yourself. I am. For the first time in my life, I'm truly listening. To myself, to the sphere, to the fundamental frequency of the universe. And it's beautiful, Bobby. Terrifying and beautiful. I left the trailer, found Maria and Sarah, told them we needed to make a decision as a team. He's not thinking straight, Maria said. Whatever that thing is, it's affecting him. Psychologically, maybe chemically. We need to get him away from it. Sarah agreed. And we need to report this. Today. Right now. This is beyond our authorization. Beyond our expertise. This is... I don't even know what this is, but it's not normal mining work. Tommy was the only one who seemed uncertain. But what if he's right? What if this really is something important? What if by calling it in, we're just handing it over to people who'll bury it? Better buried than driving people insane, Maria shot back. We decided to call the main office at 9 a.m. Give them the basics. Let them send experts. But when 9 a.m. came, Jack was gone. So was the sphere. We found his trailer empty at 9:15 a.m. The door was open, swinging in the desert wind. All his monitoring equipment was still there, still running, still recording data that meant nothing without context. But Jack and the sphere were gone. His truck was still at the camp. His personal belongings were still in his sleeping trailer. His wallet, his phone, even his wedding ring, left on the small desk next to his bed. The only thing missing was him and that impossible object. We searched the immediate area, called his name, used radios. Nothing. Sarah noticed the tracks first. Footprints leading away from camp, heading northeast into the desert. Just one set of prints. Jack's boots based on the tread pattern. But here's what didn't make sense. The footprints were deep, pressed into the hard desert soil like he was carrying something extremely heavy. But there were no drag marks, no signs that he'd been struggling with weight. Just deep, even footprints, spaced normally, like he was walking with purpose. We followed the tracks for almost 3 miles. They led to a small canyon, a natural formation with walls about 40 feet high. The tracks went in, but they didn't come out. Maybe he climbed up, Tommy suggested. We checked every wall, every possible route out. Nothing. No handholds, no rope marks, no signs of climbing. The tracks just ended in the middle of the canyon floor, like Jack had been walking and then simply ceased to exist. Maria found something else, a circular depression in the sand, about 2 feet in diameter, perfectly smooth, right where the footprints ended. It was here, she said quietly. The sphere. He set it down here. And then what? She didn't answer. None of us had an answer. We searched that canyon for 6 hours, went over every inch of it, found nothing except those footprints leading in and that circular depression. At 4 p.m. we called the sheriff's office in Ajo. They sent 2 deputies out. We showed them everything, the drill site, the borehole, the empty trailer, the tracks. So your colleague took some equipment and wandered off into the desert, one deputy said. Happens more than you'd think. Heat does things to people's minds. He didn't wander off, and it wasn't just equipment, but we couldn't explain the sphere. How do you explain something like that to local law enforcement? A metal object that shouldn't exist, rotating on its own, showing people visions of impossible cities. They treated it as a missing person case, standard procedure. Put out descriptions, notified Border Patrol, in case he'd tried to cross into Mexico. Checked hospitals. The company sent a team out the next day. Corporate security, a geologist, and a lawyer. They reviewed our reports, examined the drill site, cataloged everything in Jack's trailer. They found the video footage from our inspection camera, the recording of that spherical chamber, the impossible object suspended in the center. The head of security watched it 3 times. Then he asked us to not mention it in our official reports. Why not? I demanded. Because it doesn't make sense. And things that don't make sense tend to get people in trouble. You found an unusual geological formation. You drilled into it. Mr. Morrison became disoriented, possibly from gas exposure, possibly from heat stress, and wandered off. That's the story. That's not what happened. That's the story. His voice was flat, final. You'll all be given a generous severance package. 6 months' pay. You'll sign non-disclosure agreements, and you'll never speak about any of this to anyone outside this room. Are we clear? We signed. What else could we do? The search for Jack continued for 2 weeks. They brought in dogs, helicopters, search and rescue teams. Found nothing. The official conclusion was death by exposure, body not recovered. His wife came out to collect his things. I'll never forget the look on her face. Confusion, grief, anger, all mixed together. She kept asking why. Why would he just leave? Why wouldn't he call for help? I wanted to tell her, wanted to explain about the sphere, about what he'd found, about the change I'd seen in him. But I'd signed papers, and honestly, what would I have said that wouldn't have sounded insane? Maria quit mining altogether, moved back to Douglas, got a job teaching at the community college. Last I heard, she still has nightmares about that hum, that pulse every 3.7 seconds. Tommy finished his degree, went into environmental engineering instead of mining. Said he couldn't go underground anymore. The thought of what might be buried down there kept him awake at night. Sarah transferred to survey work for a construction company. Above ground only. She sent me a card once, a few years later. Just one line. Do you still hear it sometimes? I did. I do. The company sealed the borehole a week after Jack disappeared. Filled it with concrete, bulldozed the site, erased any evidence that we'd ever been there. I stayed in mining for another 15 years. Never went back to Arizona, though. Couldn't. Every desert landscape reminded me of that October, of Jack, of what we'd found. Strange things started happening to me about a year after the incident. I'd wake up at exactly 3:17 a.m. every night. No alarm, no reason, just awake. And in those first few seconds of waking, I'd hear it. That hum, faint, almost imperceptible, but there. I developed an odd sensitivity to magnetic fields. Could feel them, somehow. When I'd walk past electric transformers or stand near high-voltage lines, I'd get this sensation, like a pressure in my chest, a vibration in my bones. My wife noticed I'd changed, quieter, more withdrawn. I'd spend hours just staring at things, clouds, water, the pattern of cracks in sidewalks, looking for, I don't know what, patterns? Meaning, some sign that the universe was more than just random chaos. We divorced in 2003, amicable but sad. She said it felt like I was always somewhere else, even when I was standing right next to her. She was right. I tried to find information about similar discoveries. Spent years searching through archaeological journals, geological surveys, fringe science websites. Found stories, theories, claims, but nothing concrete, nothing that matched what we'd experienced. Except once. In 2004, I came across a news article. Brief mention, buried in the back pages of a scientific journal. A mining operation in Kazakhstan had been shut down unexpectedly. No official reason given. But one of the miners, in an interview before the story disappeared entirely, mentioned finding an object of unknown origin at a depth of 450 meters. The mine was sealed 3 days later. The miners were relocated. The company claimed structural instability. I tried to contact the miner who gave that interview. His family said he'd moved away. Didn't leave a forwarding address. Didn't say goodbye. Similar patterns started emerging. Mining operations shut down suddenly. Geological surveys canceled mid-project. Researchers in archaeology or paleontology disappearing from academic records. It happened quietly. No announcements, no explanations. Just erasure. I think there are more spheres out there. Dozens of them. Maybe hundreds. All over the world, buried in rock. Waiting. And I think Jack isn't the only person who's found one. Isn't the only person who touched it, understood it, and then chose to leave everything behind. I'm 68 now. Retired. Living alone in a small apartment that's too quiet. Sometimes in the middle of the night I'll wake up and there it is. That hum. Faint but unmistakable. And for just a second, I'll see them. Those towers of bent light. Those beings creating reality like artists working with paint. I've spent 27 years trying to understand what Jack saw when he touched that sphere. What made him abandon everything. His wife, his kids, his entire life. To walk into the desert carrying an impossible object. I think I finally understand. He saw what we really are. Not what we think we are. Not what we tell ourselves in the mirror every morning. But what we actually are. Temporary configurations of matter, briefly aware. Part of something so vast and ancient that our entire civilization is just a flicker in comparison. That sphere wasn't made by aliens. It wasn't some ancient human technology. It was a reminder. A message from something so far beyond us that we don't have the language to describe it properly. And Jack, I don't think he died. I think he chose to step into something bigger, something beyond the normal human experience. Chose to follow that pull toward understanding, even if it meant leaving everything else behind. Was he right to do it? I don't know. I've asked myself that question 10,000 times. Sometimes I dream I'm back in that canyon, the one where Jack's footprints ended. And in the dream, the sphere is there, rotating slowly, pulsing light. And Jack is standing next to it, smiling that terrible smile of recognition. It's time, he says. Touch it, understand. I always wake up before I do. 3 months ago, I received a package. No return address. Inside was a photograph. It showed a mining site, recent, based on the equipment, somewhere in the American Southwest. I could tell from the rock formations, and in the foreground, partially excavated, was a shape I recognized immediately. A sphere, metallic, reflecting light in impossible ways. On the back of the photograph, written in handwriting I didn't recognize, "They're waking up." I don't know who sent it. Don't know what waking up means. But I know this. Whatever Jack found in 1997 wasn't unique. It wasn't isolated. There are more of them, and people are finding them. The non-disclosure agreement I signed expired in 2022, 25 years. I'm free to talk now, legally speaking. But that's not why I'm telling this story. I'm telling it because someone needs to know. Someone needs to have this on record in case what happened to Jack starts happening to others. If you're a miner, a geologist, anyone who works underground, if you find something that shouldn't be there, something impossible, something that makes you question reality itself, you'll have a choice to make. You can walk away. Report it, let others handle it, go back to your normal life. Or you can touch it, understand it, and accept whatever consequences come with that understanding. Jack made his choice. I made mine. I walked away. I chose normal life, even though normal has never felt right since that October. But some nights, most nights, if I'm honest, I wonder if I chose wrong. I wonder where Jack is now, what he's seeing, what he's become, and I wonder if those spheres really are waking up. If so, what does that mean for the rest of us? For humanity? For reality itself? I don't have answers, just questions, and a memory that won't fade, no matter how many years pass. A metal sphere, rotating slowly, a hum that never quite goes away, and a friend who touched something beyond human comprehension and disappeared into the desert, leaving only footprints that led nowhere. If you find one of these things, be careful, be very careful, because once you know, you can't unknow. Once you understand, you can't go back to pretending you don't. Jack understood that, better than any of us, and wherever he is now, I think he's still understanding, still learning, still following that impossible song towards something we can't even imagine. Last week I received another photograph, same anonymous sender. This one showed a newspaper clipping, a small article about unexplained seismic activity in the Sonoran Desert, rhythmic pulses occurring every 3.7 seconds. Scientists baffled, no tectonic explanation. The date on the newspaper, October 14th, 2024. 27 years to the day after we first heard that hum. I don't know what it means, but I know I'm running out of time. The dreams are getting stronger. The pull is getting harder to resist. Sometimes, late at night, I find myself planning a trip back to Arizona, back to that canyon where Jack disappeared, just to see, just to know. My kids think I'm getting senile. Maybe I am, or maybe I'm finally ready to make the choice I should have made in 1997. Touch it, understand, and let the rest sort itself out. After all, what's left here for me anyway? An empty apartment, memories of a life that feels increasingly hollow, the persistent sense that I'm supposed to be somewhere else, doing something else, being something else. Jack knew. The moment he touched that sphere, he knew. And soon, maybe very soon, I'll know too. I just hope whoever finds this account understands what it means. The spheres are real. They're ancient. They're waking up. And when they fully wake, I think everything changes. Everything.